There is a specific kind of exhaustion that comes from loving before your time. It is not the tiredness of the body, it is a fatigue of the soul. You look around at the world, at the marriages of your parents, at the transactional dating of the modern era, at the chaotic flailing of the twin flame communities, and you feel a distinct disconnect. You feel this way because you are trying to build a cathedral using the blueprints of a prison. We are standing on the precipice of a massive shift in human relating. As we look toward 2026 and beyond, the old structures are not just cracking, they are dissolving. For years, you have been told that relationships are about safety, about survival, about finding someone to complete you, to fix you, or to hold you up. But you are sophisticated, you are solvent, you have done the work. You don't need a savior, you need a mirror, you need a match. The pain you feel right now, the longing, the confusion, the silence from your unawakened counterpart is not a punishment. It is the friction of evolution. You are the pioneer of a new way of loving, and pioneers always walk the hardest roads. Today, we are going to look at the future of the sacred union. We are going to strip away the fantasy and look at the physics of what is coming. Because the union you desire is not just possible, it is inevitable. But it requires you to let go of everything you thought love was supposed to look like. To understand where we are going, we must ruthlessly analyze where we have been. There is a specific kind of exhaustion that comes from loving before your time. It is not the tiredness of the body, it is a fatigue of the soul. You look around at the world, at the marriages of your parents, at the transactional dating of the modern era, and you feel a distinct disconnect. You feel this way because you are trying to build a cathedral using the blueprints of a prison. We are standing on the precipice of a massive shift in human relating. As we look toward the future, the old structures are not just cracking, they are dissolving. For the last 2,000 years, the primary model of relationship was the safety contract. This was an economic and biological arrangement. One person provided resources, the other provided domestic stability. It was a transaction. Even as we moved into the Romantic era, the underlying psychology remained the same. I will trade you my autonomy for your security. I will trade my wildness for your protection. This was the silent agreement etched into the collective unconscious of humanity. But look at your life today. You are likely self-sufficient. You have your own resources. You have your own spiritual connection to the divine. You do not need the contract. This is why the old models feel so suffocating to you. And this is why your unawakened counterpart, the one you may be waiting for, is running. We often label them the runner. But let us look deeper through the lens of nervous system psychology. Your counterpart is not running from you. They are running from the intensity of a connection that demands they dismantle their false self. In the old model, they could hide behind a role. They could be the husband, the wife, the provider, or the caretaker. These were masks that offered safety. In the new model, the model of the future, there are no roles. There is only naked authenticity. To an unhealed nervous system, being truly seen is not romantic. It is terrifying. It feels like death. This is why the silence from them feels so loud. It is the sound of their ego trying to survive the light you are shining. We are currently in a massive planetary purge. The ghosting, the silence, the sudden breakups. This is the debris of the safety contract collapsing. You are feeling the tension of two tectonic plates grinding together. The plate of need and the plate of resonance. Psychologically, we are moving from codependent entanglement to quantum entanglement. In codependency, I need you to be okay so that I can be okay. My nervous system is inextricably linked to your moods, your validation, and your presence. This is the old way. It is a survival mechanism disguised as love. In quantum entanglement, the dynamic shifts entirely. I am sovereign. You are sovereign. We do not need each other to survive, yet we are connected by a frequency that defies time and space. This is a terrifying prospect for the ego, because the ego loves to be needed. The ego loves the contract. The ego wants to know that you cannot leave because you cannot pay the rent, or because you are afraid to be alone. But the soul wants to know that you stay only because you resonate. The exhaustion you feel is the effort of trying to drag a 3-dimensional relationship template into a 5-dimensional reality. It is heavy because you are carrying dead weight. You are trying to negotiate safety with a soul that wants expansion. The safety contract was designed to keep us alive, not to keep us awake. But you are awake now, and because you are awake, you can no longer fall asleep in the arms of someone who is using you as a sedative. This is the great paradox of this transition. The more you heal, the less you can tolerate the old ways of loving. The more you become your true self, the more the false structures around you must crumble. This is not a punishment. It is a necessary demolition. You cannot build the new earth on the foundation of the old fears. The unawakened counterpart acts as a mirror for this demolition. When they pull away, they are unconsciously revealing the parts of you that are still attached to the safety contract. They are showing you where you are still looking for validation outside of yourself. They are triggering your abandonment wounds so that you can finally heal them and step into your sovereignty. It is a brutal grace. It feels like rejection, but it is actually redirection. It is the universe telling you that you are ready for something higher. You are ready for a union that is not based on two halves trying to make a whole, but on two wholes coming together to create a new world. This is the death of potential and the birth of reality. We are done falling in love with who someone could be. We are done bargaining for crumbs of affection. We are stepping into the era of recognized mastery, where we attract from our frequency, not our wounds. The safety contract is dead. Long live the sacred union. If we accept that the old contracts of safety and survival are dissolving, we are left with a profound and terrifying question. What is the purpose of relationship now? If we no longer need another person to ensure our physical survival or social standing, why do we yearn for union so deeply? The answer lies in a fundamental shift in the architecture of the soul. We are moving from the era of the refuge to the era of the power station. For centuries, the ideal relationship was a shelter. It was a place to hide from the harshness of the world, a soft place to land where two people could soothe each other's wounds. While there is beauty in comfort, the sacred union of the future is not designed for hibernation. It is designed for creation. The relationship of the future is not a retreat from the world, but an engine for engaging with it. When we strip away the need for survival, what remains is the imperative of creation. This brings us to the concept of the third energy. In a standard three-dimensional relationship, you have person A and person B. In order to make the relationship work, they often negotiate compromises. They sand down their sharp edges. They dilute their intensity. They shrink to fit into the container of the couple. The result is a comfortable, manageable average. But you are not looking for average. You are looking for expansion. In a sacred union, person A and person B remain fully intact. They do not merge into a codependent mesh where individual identity is lost. Instead, their unique frequencies interact to generate a distinct, autonomous entity. This is the third energy. It is the mission, the purpose, and the creative force that is born when two sovereign souls align. This is why the conventional advice to just find someone nice or sensible feels like a betrayal to your spirit. Your soul knows that it is not looking for a roommate to share expenses with. It is looking for a co-creator to bend reality with. The physics of this new model are simple yet ruthless. It operates entirely on resonance. In the coming years, we will stop choosing partners based on their resume, their height, or their financial portfolio. We will start choosing them based on their sonic signature. We are becoming like tuning forks. When a tuning fork is struck, it causes another fork of the exact same frequency across the room to vibrate, without them ever touching. This is the law of resonance. You cannot fake this. You cannot negotiate it. It either exists or it does not. However, there is a paradox inherent in this level of connection. To attract a union of this magnitude, you must become vibrationally expensive. Low-level relationships are cheap. They are easy to find and easy to maintain because they only ask for your compliance. They cost you your dignity, perhaps, or your passion, but they do not threaten your ego. High-level relationships are incredibly expensive. They cost you your defenses. They cost you your addiction to suffering. They cost you the right to play small. To enter the architecture of resonance, you must be willing to pay the price of total authenticity. You must be willing to stand in your own light so blindingly that it burns away anything that is false, including your own shadows. This leads us to the most difficult realization for the holder of space, the one who is often waiting for their counterpart to awaken. You likely believe that you are waiting for them to catch up to you. You believe you are the awakened one, standing on the mountaintop, checking your watch. But the shift happens when you realize that your waiting is actually a subtle form of control. By waiting, you are holding your breath. You are suspending your own life force in the hopes that they will breathe life into you. You are vibrating at the frequency of anticipation, which is a frequency of lack. It says, I am not complete until you arrive. The future of union requires you to exhale first. It requires you to become so solid in your own sovereignty that your happiness is no longer held hostage by their timeline. This is the magnetic shift that changes everything. When you stop waiting, you stop chasing. When you stop chasing, you create a vacuum, and the universe abhors a vacuum. By reclaiming your energy and directing it into your own mission, you become the lighthouse rather than the searchlight. A lighthouse does not run up and down the shore looking for ships to save. It simply stands, it shines, it is immovable. And because it is immovable, the ships know exactly where to go. This is the architecture of resonance. It is not built on the anxiety of whether they will come. It is built on the absolute knowing that what is yours cannot miss you, because it is you. Philosophy is useless without integration. We can understand the intellectual concepts of a sacred union, and we can visualize the future of relationships in the coming era. But none of that matters if we cannot embody it in the present moment. How do we navigate the transition from the exhaustion of today to the union of tomorrow? The gap between where you are and where you wish to be is not crossed by time. It is crossed by a shift in frequency. To prepare for the relationships of 2026 and beyond, there are 3 specific internal shifts you must make. These are not strategies to manipulate your partner into returning. They are alchemical changes within your own soul that alter the fabric of your reality. The first shift is the movement from attachment to alignment. This is a subtle but profound distinction. Attachment asks a question born of anxiety. It asks how to get them to come back, or when this painful separation will end. Attachment is obsessed with the external timeline. It is constantly checking the phone, analyzing the silence, and seeking validation from the outside. When you are attached, you are vibrating at the frequency of lack. You are broadcasting a signal to the universe that says you are not whole, and that your well-being is dependent on the actions of another. The relationships of the future cannot be built on this foundation. They require alignment. Alignment asks a different question. It asks if you are vibrating at the frequency of the love you claim to want. It turns the focus inward. If you are anxious, grasping, or desperate, you are repelling the very stability you seek. Alignment is the quiet, unshakable knowing that what is yours cannot miss you. It is not a passive hope. It is an active, fierce trust in the laws of physics. You stop chasing the butterfly and instead tend to the garden, knowing that the garden is beautiful regardless of what lands in it. The second shift requires you to prioritize a regulated nervous system over romantic highs. We have been conditioned by Hollywood and trauma to believe that love should feel like a roller coaster. We mistake anxiety for passion. We mistake the butterflies of insecurity for the spark of connection. But to a sophisticated, spiritually mature soul, chaos is no longer attractive. It is exhausting. Furthermore, your unawakened counterpart often stays away precisely because they sense your emotional turbulence. Even if you are not saying a word, they can feel the grasping energy of your anxiety. It triggers their escape mechanism because it feels like a demand. They are running from the storm. When you regulate your own nervous system, when you find safety within your own body without needing them to provide it, you undergo a transformation. You stop being the storm they have to weather, and you become the lighthouse they can navigate by. A lighthouse is consistent It is steady. It does not flicker with insecurity. This creates a container of safety. In the new era, safety is the ultimate aphrodisiac. By becoming a safe harbor for yourself, you inevitably become a destination for them. The third, and perhaps most difficult shift, is the death of potential. You must stop falling in love with their potential. As a spiritually attuned person, you have the gift of sight. You see their soul. You see the king or queen hidden beneath their layers of trauma. You see who they could be if they just did the work. But you cannot be in a relationship with a potential. You can only be in a relationship with a reality. When you hold space for their potential, you are often subtly judging their reality. You are treating them as a project to be fixed rather than a sovereign being to be witnessed. This creates a dynamic of teacher and student, or mother and child, which is the antithesis of romantic union. In the future, we will not bond through trauma bonding or fixing projects. We will bond through recognized mastery. By releasing your attachment to their potential, you actually free them to grow into it. You take the pressure off. You stop trying to drag them up the mountain and simply climb it yourself. Paradoxically, it is only when you accept them exactly as they are, without needing them to change, that they finally feel safe enough to evolve. You must be willing to let the fantasy die so that the real union can be born. The era of the karmic loop is ending. The era of the conscious creation is beginning. You are tired because you have been clearing the lineage for thousands of years. You have been breaking the chains of your mothers and your grandmothers who had to stay small to stay married. But that work is nearly done. As we move toward 2026, the energy is thinning. The veil is lifting. The connections coming in now are not here to teach you lessons through pain. They are here to amplify your light through joy. Do not lower your standards to cure your loneliness. Do not shrink your energy to fit into a smaller container. You are building the energetic architecture for a love that the world hasn't seen yet. It requires patience. It requires faith. But mostly, it requires you to be the love you are seeking. The union is not the destination. The union is the fuel for the mission. And you are just getting started.